Are you always confused about which books to read and how to read them to speak fluent English? If yes, this is the video that you should definitely be watching till the end because all the answers are discussed. Now, before we dive into today's video, I want to take a minute and tell you what you will find inside this video. The first thing you will find is a step-by-step guide on how to read and what to read. We'll give you examples on which book to read and what should be the process to gain the maximum benefit to speak effectively. Next, daily and weekly targets, and then we have a bonus tip by the end of this video. So let's dive into the session. And yes, this is an advanced English course or series on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed and liked, you should do it right now. We genuinely need your support here. Okay, all of you remember this table from session 1. If you haven't watched the session 1 or all the previous 4 sessions, the link is right here. Please go and take your time to watch that video. Now, if you remember, I told you that this is your weekly table. In this weekly table, we had certain activities designed for every day. And I specifically asked that do only 2 activities per day, not more than that. 2 activities per day are more than enough. We have already talked about movie clips. We are going to discuss about reading in today's exercise. Again, if you haven't watched the movie clip video, it's right here. Click on the link and watch it. Now, let's dive into today's concept, and the very first question we have is what to read and how to read. And please remember, everything that we are discussing in today's session has a direct implication on enhancing our English. That's what we are trying to do in today's video. How to read to enhance my English. All right, let's talk about it. The first understanding we should have about reading is who is reading. Let's take example of 2 people. We have Ash and then we have Sam. Both of them are trying to read books. I'm going to zoom it a little bit so that you guys can find it comfortable. Okay, so there is Ash and there is Sam. Ash is somebody who is reading to enhance, I'm going to repeat this, sorry for it. Ash is somebody who is reading because she has a hobby of reading. She enjoys reading books. She reads a lot of novels, a lot of self-help books, and she's just amazed by it. On the other hand, Sam is somebody who is reading to learn English. He might be trying to learn vocab by reading. He might be trying to work on his grammar while reading. Whatever the reason for his to read, that's what we're going to understand in today's session. Okay? We have 2 kinds of people. People who read as an hobby, people who read to learn. Write down in the comment section which category you fall, hobby or learning. Now, if you fall into the category of hobby or learning, there are few principles that all of you should be following without any failure. You have to understand this very carefully. If you're reading for hobby or you're reading for learning, these things apply to you all. Pick books at your level and read for 15 to 20 minutes per day. 15 to 20 minutes per day is mandatory. If you really want to see some outcomes, if you want to really see some benefits out of reading, you should do it 15 to 20 minutes and you should do it daily. Now, according to my table, I specifically said 3 times a week is also enough. Based on your schedule, 3 times a week is more than enough. Okay? You have to pick books at your level. If you are at basic, if you're reading for the first time, you just picked a book. Don't read something which is heavy like Sapiens. Don't read such books. You have to pick books at your level. The biggest mistake a lot of my students have made in the past, they're starting to read for the first time and they pick books which are way beyond their understanding. And what happens after certain chapters or maybe after certain pages, they lose interest. They become bored. So if you are somebody who is interested in science, pick books from science club at basic level. If you are somebody who has read 2 to 3 books in the past, you can pick something of your subject, of your interest, and you can go with the intermediate books. All right. Now, choose topics you are genuinely interested. Science, sports, cooking, investment, self-help books, novels, anything that you are genuinely interested in. You should only pick such books. And finally, and most importantly, switch between fiction, non-fiction, articles and stories. Don't always read books. Sometimes you can read articles found in newspapers and you can read short stories. Where will you find short stories? Where will you find articles? I'm going to show you in the coming slides. Now, once we are clear what are the basic parameters one should follow, let's talk about, if you are reading for hobby, what kinds of books you could read. This is the example of kinds of books you should read if you are reading for hobby. We have Preeti Shenoy, Durjoy Dutt, Ruskin Bond, Vikram Seth, Amish Tripathi, Arundhati Roy, Sudha Murthy, Mulk Raj Anand. I have picked some of my favorites and some which really write some cool novels. They're easy to understand. You can, if you're reading for the first time, you can start with Sudha Murthy. If you're reading for the first time, start reading Sudha Murthy. There is another writer, Chetan Bhagat. Lot of students prefer to read Chetan Bhagat as well. If you want to have some interest in reading, you can start with Chetan Bhagat. You can start with Vikram Seth, very nice writer, or Preeti Shenoy and Durjoy Dutt. These writers write novels, I can say fiction. They imagine things and they write. The language of these books are very simple. The grammar structure or the vocab they use are very easy to understand. If you want to upgrade the level a little bit, you can start reading Amish Tripathi. You can start reading Ruskin Bond. Ruskin Bond writes both types of books, simple and intermediate. And finally, we have Arundhati Roy. Arundhati Roy has some really good novels. Hard to understand a little bit, but if you want to go to intermediate to advanced level, these are the writers I'm going to suggest. Apart from that, if you want to try some other countries' origin writers, you can read Mitch Albom. My all-time favorite. I have read all the books that Mitch Albom had to offer. All the books that he has written till date, I've read all of them. Then you have Yuval Noah Harari. You might have heard about the book Sapiens. Sapiens is one of his bestsellers. All of his books are bestsellers, but this is the one which people remember him by. Then we have Dan Brown. Lot of Dan Brown's novels have converted into movies. Then we have Diana Ethan. Anyone. You want to start with Mitch Albom? Perfect choice. One book that I'm going to recommend right now is Tuesdays with Morrie. Tuesdays with Morrie is the book that you can start for Mitch Albom. Sapiens, you can start for Yuval. And Dan Brown, you can start with Inferno. Okay? I'm hoping this is coming. I'm hoping all these writers or the books that I've suggested will come handy to you. Once you are done with what to read, let's find out how to read if you are reading for fun and entertainment. If you're reading it for hobby, you should read for enjoyment and to understand the storyline. Don't worry about grammar. Don't worry about vocab. Don't worry about language. Only worry about, am I enjoying the book? And am I understanding the story here? What's happening? What is the writer trying to say? What are the roles of characters in this movie? Only understand the enjoyment and the storyline part. And don't worry about unfamiliar word. Try to understand the gist. What is gist? The final understanding of the story. Don't worry about unfamiliar words. If you come across unfamiliar words, you can just ignore it. Leave it. I don't care. Next, summarize it into 4 to 5 lines with a friend. You have picked a book from Preeti Shenoy, and after reading the book, you have enjoyed it. You have understood the whole storyline. There were a lot of unfamiliar words, but you ignored them. Now, after everything is done, you will describe the entire story in 4 to 5 lines. I just read a book of Priti Shenoy, and the book's name is, even I am not able to remember. I have my library on the side, so I am just taking help here. I think the book is Love a Little Stronger. So the book I read today was Love a Little Stronger by Priti Shenoy, and it's about two characters. They fall in love, but their love did not come easy to them because they had to face a lot of struggles. But at the end, they met and it was a happy story. Just as done. Love story, two characters faced problem, happily married after. I'm just giving an example. It's not true. Okay, I don't really remember what was in that book. Anyways, so I hope this is done. If you are reading for hobby, these are the things that you should definitely worry about. These are the things that you should definitely worry about. Now, let's talk about if I am reading to learn English, to enhance English. What should I do, Ash, if I'm reading to learn English? All right, let's talk about what you should read if you are reading for learning. We have 3 options. We have short stories, we have articles, and we have short articles. Okay, I have given the link here. If you want the link, you will find in the description of this video as well. There is a page called as Mom Loves Best. It has a lot of short stories. There is a page called as jamesclear.com. It has a lot of articles, and after every article there are few exercises as well that you guys can try doing. All right, there are a lot of exercises that you guys can try practice your reading comprehension. After that, we have British Council's website link where you will find a lot of lengthy articles about various topics based on your level. If you are reading for B1, which is intermediate, this is the link. If you are reading for A1, A2, this is the link you can follow. I'm going to take you to the next understanding of the topic, which is called as how to read if I am reading for learning. I am going to take 2 minutes here before we understand this. In the coming few minutes, I'm going to shift it here because I need the board. Pay attention. All of you, please pay attention. What are we going to do now? In the coming few slides of this chapter, we have step-by-step process. The first process is all of you should do active reading. I'm going to explain each page separately, but please pay attention. First step is active reading. What is active reading? We'll discuss it. Second step is read it loud. All right? Read it loud. How to do that? I'm going to explain. And the third step is summarize. Summarize. This is the step-by-step process if you are reading books to learn English. First do the active reading, then do the loud reading, and then you have to summarize whatever you have read. I hope this is clear. Once you are clear with this, now let's talk about each one of them slowly and gradually for your understanding. The first subject we have is active reading. What to do in active reading? There you go. In active reading, you have to underline and highlight unfamiliar words, 5 at max. Let's say you are reading a chapter, and in the first chapter itself, you find 10 heavy words, 10 unfamiliar words. What to do? Ignore 5 of them. Focus of only 5 which are at your level of understanding and you think you can use them. So you're going to underline or highlight unfamiliar words, 5 at max. Underline or highlight. Okay. Next, try to guess the meaning from the context. Remember this in the vocab chapter. If you haven't gone through the vocab session, the link is over here. Please visit the vocab chapter. We have talked about the context learning. Whenever you come across a word, you try to set an image to that word. In this case, whenever you come across a word, you have to guess the meaning with the help of context. Because all the words are written in a sentence. Let's say I have a sentence like this. This is the unfamiliar word. In order to understand this unfamiliar word, I have to understand what the writer is trying to say in this sentence. From that understanding, I will know the meaning of this word approximately. It might not be 100% correct, but you will get an understanding that the writer is trying to say this. So this is the meaning of this word. Okay. Next, write down phrases and idioms and expressions that sound natural in your word journal. This is something that I have taught you in the vocab chapter, how to create word journal. The link is right here. Please go ahead and visit that chapter after this video. So what am I doing here? I just told you to do active reading. And how to do active reading? The step number 1 was read a chapter or read few pages and collect 5 words at maximum. Write down the phrases and idioms and those words in your word journal. Only words that sound natural. That sound natural to you. And next, try to guess the meaning from the context. Alright? Once you're done with this, let's move on to read aloud. Lot of you have done this thing in the past. You have stood in front of the mirror. You have tried to speak on a certain topic. Here, you will be reading your book or that chapter loudly. What happens when you do it loudly? Couple of things happen. First of all, you improve your pronunciation and your fluency. How do you improve your pronunciation? When you say that word loudly, you will understand whether it's making sense to me. If not, you can go to a Cambridge website or just simply go to Google. You can go to Google. I'll show you the picture. In the next slide, I'll show you the picture. You will go to Google and type the pronunciation of the word pronunciation. It will give you a couple of options. You can verify your pronunciation. And next, you will enhance your fluency. When you read something loudly, you focus on up and down in the voice, and that's how your fluency gets modified. Also, it helps you to get comfortable with the rhythm of the language. What is rhythm? How do you sound when you speak in English? Do you sound fake? Do you sound confident? Do you sound somebody who has pretty good knowledge about the language? Are you comfortable with the up and down in the language? All of these things can be understood if you speak it loudly, or if you read it loudly, you will understand the rhythm of the language. Hindi, English, Punjabi, Telugu, Kannada, Odia, all of these languages have different rhythm. You cannot speak Hindi the way you speak English. You cannot speak Kannada the way you speak Malayalam. Every language has a rhythm. In order to get comfortable with that rhythm, we have to read our books loudly. And how much do you have to read? 15 to 20 chapters per day. That's it. 15 to 20 minutes per day, not chapters. Okay, moving on. Once you're done with that, let's see how to do it. You just don't have to read. You have to record yourself and listen to your pronunciation and intonation. Intonation, if you remember, there was a chart how you are going up and down in your speech is called as intonation. Pronunciation, how a certain word is pronounced or said. You have to record yourself and then check it. Later, you can compare it with the Cambridge pronunciation to identify areas of improvement. Now, if I break it down a little bit here, 15 to 20 minutes, 5 words, which are natural and easy to use, record them, check the pronunciation. How much time do you think it will take? 30 minutes at maximum. 30 minutes. 15 minutes to read. If you're able to read 3 pages, fine. 2 pages, fine. Our intention here is to learn, not to enjoy. We are learning here. 15 minutes for reading, 5 minutes to make your word journal, right? To write them down. And then I'm saying, let's say this is 20, another 10 minutes to practice pronunciation. Those 5 words I have to speak, record and compare. That's it. Do you think you can do that? If yes, please write down in the comment section. Ash, we are excited. We are in this and we're gonna do it. All right? Okay. Now let's move on. This is how the pronunciation website will look like. Either you can take help of Cambridge as I mentioned, or you can directly go to Google, how to pronounce pronunciation. This is how the page will come up. Here we have Indian English pronunciation, British pronunciation, American pronunciation. Whichever accent you want to go with this. If you have this doubt, Ash, which accent to follow? I'll say go with Indian English pronunciation. You don't need American accent. You don't need British accent to communicate in this language. You are not here to impress somebody. You are here because this language is needed to get a job done. It's just a language. It's not your intelligence. It's not your personality. Let's be very clear on that. I don't want you to worry so much about whether I should talk in British accent or I should talk in Indian accent or whichever accent. No. We have a job. We have an interview. Let's go get that interview done with the normal English pronunciation. All right? Let's move on to the next thing. The final activity that you need to do is summarize. How to summarize is again few steps involved. After you finish the chapter, or let's say 3 to 4 pages, write a short summary in your own words. And this way you will focus on grammar. In grammar, you will know how to write sentences, how to worry about punctuations, how to put commas, where to put full stop, where to put hyphens. And you will also notice how to find good words to summarize something. Again, it's a step-by-step process. Read the chapter, then read it loudly, and finally summarize it. In summary, you have to write at least a short summary. I can say 3 to 4 sentences, or 3 to 4 is going to be way too less. Let's say 100 words. 100 words summary is more than enough. Moving on, we have, after you are done by writing the summary, later, once you are done with at least 15 to 20 writing summary, you can start recording your summary verbally. You don't have to write. You finish the chapter, you start speaking it out. Then you have to explain the chapter to somebody. It's your choice, and it helps you in comprehension and structure your thoughts. When you, okay, let's take a minute. I'm trying to summarize it verbally. Why am I doing it verbally? Because I want people to comprehend what they have read, to understand what they have read, and they should be structuring their thoughts. What should I say first? What should come second? What should come in the end? This whole summarization should be done. All right. So we have 2 kinds of summaries. We have writing summary and we have verbal summary. In verbal summary, we have to, start speaking it out loud so that we can understand the story and we can structure our thoughts. In writing, you have to write at least 100 word summary, and then you can check the grammar part of it. I have suggested few, tools where you can check your grammar. You can paraphrase your writing. The video link is here. You can check that video as well. You will find all this data over there. Moving on, once we are done, let's talk about few targets for today's video. The target is very simple. You have daily targets and you have weekly targets. In daily targets, read for 20 to 30 minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, 20 to 30 minutes is your choice, and at least find 3 to 5 new words and phrases. If I talk about weekly target, in weekly target, I want you to summarize a chapter and then practice explaining it to somebody by either writing or verbally. These are your targets. Also, please remember this. Don't make targets which you cannot fulfill. Another mistake which a lot of learners do, and even I do sometimes, not maybe with English language, but with something else. Don't set targets that you can never achieve. Set targets on daily basis and weekly basis. In daily basis target, my target is to just read and collect words. That's it. One day I've read, second day I've read, third day I've read. On the fourth day, I'll do my weekly target. In the weekly target, I have to write it down or I have to explain it to somebody. That's all my target is all about. I think this much we all can do. We don't have to worry too much. Next is the bonus tip, and if you are waiting till now, if you are stuck with me till now, write down in the comment section. Ash, I stayed till the end. You are my favorite people. You know what? You are my favorite. In the bonus tip, we have pair reading with listening. When I read a lot of books, or when I have finished almost 100 books, and when I read my 101 or 102, I started doing this. I started listening to audiobooks. So what I do now, I pick a book, I plug my earphones, and I read while I listen. What happens when you do that? When you do that, when you combine both of them, listening while reading helps with pronunciation. I know how a certain word is pronounced. Intonation, up and down in the voice, and comprehension. I understand things easily. How to do it? Use audiobooks. There are a lot of audiobooks available free of cost on YouTube. Free of cost. Just check audiobook of whatever book you are reading. Okay? You will find it. Plug your earphones and read while you listen. Moving on. If you want the checklist for daily practice of reading, all you have to do is to write us an email on learnwithsamash@gmail.com. You just have to say, Ash, can you share the checklist of the reading exercise? I'll be more than happy to share it with you. Again, I want to remind you, if you haven't subscribed Learn with Sam and Ash, do it now. It's really important. And I'll see you in the next video. Enjoy yourself. Bye-bye.